I mean, that guy must have been feeling some sense of relief now that the Raiders fans all over the place are breathing a little easier today. And anyone who drafted Ashton Jeanty in fantasy, by the way, still can't take him number one overall. Plus, who's doing a draft before all 3 weeks of the preseason are over? But I digress. It's just a sprained ankle. Look, when I was reading the California Post and following the California Post on Sunday and getting all the news alerts from the California Post Sports, it didn't seem like this was going to be minor because we were talking about Ashton Jeanty not being able to put any weight on his ankle and needed help getting off the field. And there was a prayer circle from the players, and that is normally ominous and spells season ending. This, though, is about as good as it gets. Sprained ankle, season starts in 3 weeks. We could take a breath and at least monitor the situation. And you know what? I'm so amped for Ashton Jeanty. Things have a monster second season. Pete Carroll and Pete Carroll's dopey son, who coached the offensive line, wasted Jeanty's rookie season. I think Jeanty's going to be amazing this year. And even if he doesn't play week 1 and you have to go with Mike Washington, the promising rookie, you can still beat the Miami Dolphins. If, in fact, Fernando Mendoza is the starter. By the way, lost in the sauce from everything that transpired and how Jeanty got hurt. He was diving from a low pass from Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins can't even hit his running back in the flat. Of course, Fernando Mendoza should be the week 1 starter. We're going to keep saying it every single day on Schein Time. And if for some reason they start Kirk Cousins, because that's the way Kubiak has kind of laid this out, guess what? Halftime of week 1 against Miami, I don't want to see Kirk Cousins smiling ever again. I don't want to see him on the football field. He was the worst quarterback in the NFL as a Falcon over the last 2 years. But thank goodness here on Ashton Jeanty. How about Geno Smith and his perfection in Pittsburgh? I told you, the Jets are going to be good this year. Seriously, we've been banging that drum. Love Geno Smith. Love the trade. And preseason's preseason, but perfection is perfection. You know what we do when it comes to preseason reaction and overreaction? If there's a player that hits home exactly what you believe and confirms your take, oh, baby, buckle up, buttercup. And Aaron Glenn, to his credit, just let Geno play that drive, got him out. This is awesome. Absolutely incredible. I think Geno Smith and the Jets are going to be good, interesting, fun this year. I really believe it. We said as much the day of the trade. I've said as much after the draft, said as much last week. I think Aaron Glenn has learned everything that happened that was awful last year in terms of dealing with the press and bad in-game management. And I can't stress enough here how I think the Jets over is one of the locks of the NFL season. Geno Smith throwing to Garrett Wilson, throwing to Cooper, throwing to Sadiq, certified freak. Breece Hall is going to be ready for week number 1. The offensive line is strong. They bring in Demario Davis. And Geno Smith can play. He got raided last year. Pete Carroll ruined him. Go back to the Seattle version of Geno Smith. And look at the Jets' schedule. I'm telling you, it's more manageable than people realize. They're going to beat Tennessee week number 1. Then they're going to beat Green Bay. It's one of my big upset special picks when you take a look at it in week number 2. And the Jets are going to be playing every single game in the afternoon, which is great for the Jets. I mean, look at this. They can beat Cleveland. They can beat Miami a couple times. They should be able to beat the Raiders at home. I think they can absolutely beat Arizona. I would not be surprised to see them split with New England. Bam. That's 7-8 wins. That's Jets football. And they'll be set up for success and the playoffs in 2027. So I think things are going to be different with the Jets this season. Jameis Winston is telling us things are already different with the Giants under John Harbaugh.
I'm just grateful for Coach Harbaugh's leadership. He holds everybody to a standard, just like he holds himself. We see him grinding and working and studying hours and hours of tape and communicating with the quarterbacks, communicating with the offensive line, communicating with the defensive line, communicating with the DBs. He has his hand in a relationship with every position group, and I think that speaks volumes because he's holding everybody to that standard, coaches included.
So, that soundbite from Jameis Winston following the Giants-Dolphins preseason game where Winston looked great. I love it. And I love Winston as a backup quarterback. Jameis Winston has been around the block. He's perfect for the Giants, helping out Jackson Dart, backing up Jackson Dart, and being a true pros pro in the locker room. You want to talk about accountability? You want to talk about holding everyone to a certain standard? Let's talk about a couple things that happened that weren't very good from the Giants over the weekend. John Harbaugh cannot keep Odell Beckham Jr. Jameis Winston threw a beautiful pass to Odell Beckham Jr. in the back of the end zone, and it went right through Odell's hands. That's a drop. Take a look at the Giants wide receiver depth chart, because we're at the point where if you're a real Giants fan, you can't think, if you're worth your salt, that Odell should make the team. Malik Neighbors is going to be a star, and he's trending in the direction where he's going to play week number 1. Harbaugh brought in Calvin Austin, who he coached against in those battles with Baltimore and Pittsburgh for all those years. Brings in Mooney. I think Malachi Fields was phenomenal at Notre Dame. We raved about that pick. You saw him last week catch a touchdown. Slayton can still play. Braxton Berrios is making the team because he is going to be the return specialist. So you have 6 wide receivers that are on this depth chart ahead of Odell Beckham Jr. And I don't want to talk about what he did in the past or the one-handed grab or if you or a family member owns an Odell Beckham Jr. jersey. Look at those 6 names, including Berrios on special teams. Do you honestly think that Odell Beckham Jr. is better than any of them? Come on. You want to talk about accountability? You know what? I demand that we hold the fans for the Giants accountable. Seriously. I think part of the problem is, and because the Maras pay attention to the fans, you guys are always on planet delusional when it comes to Giants history, which is awesome, and I appreciate it, and it's great. But that doesn't mean Lawrence Taylor is walking through that door. You want to cherish Odell Beckham Jr. for his time in New York? Great. Doesn't mean he should be on the roster for 2026. You have a new head coach, new direction, new accountability. That should not include Odell Beckham Jr. being part of this team. And honestly, let's take it a step further. And I didn't think going into camp this should be the case, but I don't think that Tyrone Tracy is going to make the Giants. I mean, if we want to start talking about accountability, you saw a couple weeks ago now in the preseason, Tracy with a Cecil Fielder swinging a miss on in pass protection in the play that got Jackson Dart absolutely clobbered. And then he fumbled over the weekend against Miami, not to mention Devin Singletary, who I thought going into camp, and I like Devin Singletary, but he was a day ball guy, brought him from Buffalo. I thought Singletary could be in jeopardy. Devin Singletary has been excellent. Look at the Giants' depth chart at the running back position. Scatterboo, gotta stay healthy, but you trust him. Najee Harris signing Kim right after Tracy whiffed on that block. I thought that was noteworthy. And if Harbaugh likes Singletary, and I think that he does, and if Matt Nagy and the staff think that he could work into the mix, I think that Tracy is not going to be long for the world with the New York Football Giants, because the word to stress is accountability when it comes to John Harbaugh and the New York Football Giants. I think the most important thing that happened in preseason this weekend, Bo Nix back on the field. But what was Bo feeling about being back in the action?
I think the strongest emotion was just when I got out there, it was like riding a bike. Nothing really changed.
Bo Nix being on the football field and playing for the Denver Broncos was the most important thing that has happened this entire preseason. Simple as that. I needed to see it. The Broncos needed to see it. Sean Payton needed to see it. And that soundbite, short, sweet, purposeful. Returned to the field like riding a bike. And it wasn't a bike with a flat tire, because I wanted to pay attention to see if Bo Nix was going to have any hesitation or not have the confidence, or if he had any kind of limp. He was dropping balls in the bucket. That throw to Harvey for the touchdown was unbelievable. His athleticism, his accuracy, all on display. So I now look at the Broncos as a team that'll make the playoffs. Because even though I was obsessed with their offseason, the Waddle deal, unreal. I wouldn't be surprised if Jalen Waddle had 100 catches this year. Sean Payton's a genius. Davis Webb now calling the plays. Cortland Sutton as your number 2 wide receiver. Depth and talent at running back. The defense is the best in the business. I just needed to see if Bo Nix was healthy. Remember, he fractured and broke that ankle right after the divisional round game. Then he had a cleanup surgery. So if we're waiting on Bo Nix, it wasn't going to happen. But now we can start talking about the Broncos winning the division again. The Broncos making a march to the championship game in the AFC. The Broncos' defense is elite. Their coaching is superb. Bo Nix still has to get to another level. He has been, first couple of years as an NFL quarterback, tough and clutch, especially in the fourth quarter. He can be more consistent and more dominant quarters 1, 2, and 3. This, to me, is the biggest deal of anything that's happened during 2026 NFL preseason games. Bo Nix being out there and being healthy. Now we can start talking about the Broncos riding into the playoffs once again.